Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. You know how sometimes someone will say something and it will stick in your mind and you'll think, do you know what? I hadn't thought of that, but yeah. If something sticks in your mind, it's normally because you think it's at least worth pondering, even if you arrive at the conclusion that, well, actually, no, I don't think it's really true, but it makes you think. And one such comment that I've heard over the last couple of days is that Anthony Yarde is too nice. Okay, what's meant by that? Well, I would put it into two separate categories. I would say that we're talking about his in-the-ring performances. He lacks spite, nastiness, all the things that people like Jaya Pataya, Fabio Wardley, Bam Rodriguez have, that nastiness, that, laser focus that every punch I'm going to throw, even if it's a knockout punch, it's a nice little side road to what is going to be a knockout punch. A new way is obviously another one, but Yarde, when you consider his physicality, he's physically very strong. He's very athletic. He hits hard. He's never really shown that nasty streak that is necessary to push you over the sort of contender status into becoming a world champion. And people talk about his 3 defeats and the guts that he showed and the resiliency. He wasn't going anywhere. There's no quitting the guy. And all that. Absolutely true. I completely agree with that. All right, well, nothing against the man at all. And this is not an anti-Anthony Yarde video at all. But there just isn't that real natural fighter's verve to him that you see with people like Wardley. Well, I think this is also reflected. The second category of niceness would be his presence outside the ring. And I made a video about Tunde Ajayi asking, did he ever really bring anything to the table? Anthony Yarde and Tunde have earned serious money from Anthony's career. But probably the time for moving on, shall we say, and growing as a fighter and bringing in another trainer and maybe putting Tunde, if not out in the cold and on the back burner, was years ago. And that ship has sailed, I'm afraid. Now, Yarde did bring in, or the team, which I assume means Tunde as well, they did bring in the late James Cook. A very decent addition to any team, I would have said. Sadly, James Cook passed away. It was earlier this year, I think. And they either haven't had a chance to replace him or they've no intention of replacing him. But Yarde's niceness and the closeness that he has with Tunde, the loyalty he has with Tunde, may have worked against him, because it may now be a situation where it's too late for him to change. And he's been loyal to Tunde, and they've had 3 bites of the cherry, and Yarde's been stopped 3 times, beaten up 3 times, has shown a lot of, again, guts, punching power, yeah, physical strength, yeah. But the quality of boxing technique just isn't there. And even though he started late, I think he had 12 amateur fights, I don't think that is the hook we should constantly hang the reason why Anthony Yarde is going to probably become a nearly man. And I also think that's not the hook on which we hang the fact that he's never beaten a world-class opponent. Because you can go places, even if you start late. Okay, management comes into it. You've got to be maybe a little bit of cherry picking with the opposition, but you can learn stuff as a professional. You can learn on the job. You might pick up a few defeats on the way. And Yarde's got 4 of them now, 3 against, good champions. But you will learn if you are brought along correctly. I always felt that Yarde should have gone British, Commonwealth, European, and then world. All these, obscure journeymen, European level gatekeeper types. The 3 fights with Lyndon Arthur. I mean, Lyndon, I like Lyndon, but he's got an excellent jab, but there's not a great deal to sort of that would suggest he's world class to me. Lyndon, he beat Yarde once, lost twice to him. And also, in terms of tactics, we've been through this before, but it's quite strange because Sergio Mora was singing the praises of Yarde's tactics against David Benavidez. I was thinking, what are you talking about? Look, Sergio Mora is a former world champion boxer. I've never had a professional fight, but I couldn't see it. Good tactics, really. From late in the second round, Yarde had his back to the ropes. That was not the place he needed to be. And when you listen to the advice, if we'll be generous and call it advice, that was being given to him by Tunde in the corner, especially after the 6th round when Yarde took an absolute battering in the last minute and a half. Where was the advice? You're a lion, Anthony. Really? He's a lion that's getting the shit kicked out of him. So how about you give him some advice? And you can start with, get your fucking back off the ropes. And the moment you feel the ropes on your back, skid off them. Because it is better to, okay, you can be timed moving off them. I get it. I mean, not everyone has great footwork, and I don't think Yarde has particularly good footwork at all. But it's worth risking taking a wallop, a well-timed wallop as you come off the ropes, than it is just hanging on them and taking a barrage of punches. There was even that, Tom and Jerry sort of cameo at the end of one of the rounds. Was it the 4th or 5th where Benavidez had his right arm looped over Yarde's shoulder and was just punching him with 10, 12, whatever it was, left hooks or whatever they were. It was comical. But from what I heard, I couldn't hear it all, but the advice given to Yarde from Tunde in the corner was just very, very poor. Now, this is nothing new. This goes back to, well, certainly the Kovalev fight, probably before that, where there's no advice being given. Empty the tank, lions in the camp, all this bollocks, I can do that. I've never trained a fighter in my life. Can I? I'll tell you what, I'll throw a towel over my shoulder and start, I'll get my pom-poms out, do a bit of rah-rah in the corner when someone's getting the shit beaten out of them, instead of giving them some sensible, constructive, thoughtful advice. So the fact that Yarde has stuck with Tunde out of loyalty, out of niceness, to get back to that word of the day, I think it's come back to bite him in the arse. It's, the chickens have come home to roost moment, but disappointing, very disappointing. So what do you think? Do you think he is too nice? Again, at 34, I think it's too late to change trainers. Now, you can refine things maybe, but the type of beating that, like the one he took against Benavidez, doesn't look good, does it? Not really. Anyway, let me know what you think. Don't take my word for it. I want to hear your opinion. Comments below as usual. Subscribe to the channel as usual, and hit the like button as usual, because you're a generous person and you're helping the channel out and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Thank you very much. Catch you later. Bye for now.